Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm getting ready to do an experiment. Okay, most of the greens that we get are sort of bitter, and we use greens that we are familiar with, which are the collards, the turnips, the mustards. But we have also discovered that we can eat the green tops off of quite a few other greens. Like we can eat rutabagas, and turnip greens are the tops of the product that's under them. Also beets. You can eat beet greens, which some people find to be very delicious. Every one of them have their own flavors. So what I'm going to do now, since I'm loving Brussels sprouts, some people don't like them, but I have found them to be quite delicious. But these came off of straight off of one of the it would be a roadside vegetable stand. So I get most of the things like this from Hastings, Florida. And the name of the vegetable stand is County Line. It's right between Hastings, Florida and Palatka. And I say that because they have some great vegetables. So check out some of the other videos about that. But what I'm going to do this time, so you get this whole stalk. When you go there and purchase Brussels sprouts, sorry, I was so busy trying to get the Brussels sprouts off of here to cook them till I didn't think about this until I got ready to throw these in the compost. So I decided, let me see what the greens of the Brussels sprouts taste like. And I'm not sure how much it's going to make. Maybe a couple of servings it may make, because they're not that large. As you can see, this is the top off of, this is one here. See if you can pull back and you can see that. But the Brussels sprouts are all along there, and this is the top. And I normally just compost this. So instead of composting it this time, I'm going to see if I can make a little greenery dish out of those. So it'll be the greens off of the Brussels sprouts, which they look like cabbage, or they're small like that, so they look like a cabbage. The Brussels sprouts look like miniature cabbages anyway, and collard greens look like this. All varieties kind of look like this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut these off and we'll see what we get. So I'm just going to use a little knife and go around this. They get much smaller in the middle, but that's all I'm going to do. So that's why I say it's not going to make much, but I'm going to go around and cut those off. These should be pretty tender, so you know what, yeah, I'm going to pop them off and do those too. So I'm not sure how big of a serving I'm going to get, but I'm going to try it. Alright, and I'm going to treat these just like any other green. I don't waste anything by composting these. When you compost these greens, whatever it is, food that you're composting, it just acts like a fertilizer for the rest of the garden. This ball is a little bigger than the other one, but those should make really nice ones. It's not real firm in the middle. It's squishy because the leaves are coming up. And the last one, see, I have 3. Those Brussels sprouts. Oh, I'll show you. I haven't cooked them yet. I have them soaking in my saltwater bath. They generally have a little sand on them because the wind's blowing. These stand up. They're not on the ground like spinach is. So they're usually not. They usually don't have a lot of sand on them. Very rarely do they have any sand, but we've had a couple of high wind, I would say windstorms, because the area has been getting a lot of high winds without rain. Tends to dry the dirt out and create sandstorms, sort of. All right, so that's what it looks like. They're done. So I'm going to put these in a saltwater bath and prepare them just like any other greens. And I'll do a picture so you can see what the Brussels sprouts look like that came off of here. They're really good and hearty. These are kind of small, and I'm not sure if these little ones up at the top cook well or not, but we may try it and see. Alright, so I'm back and I'm going to cut these up because I cut my greenery before I wash it. And the reason I cut them up is because I don't like these big whole leaves. I see some chefs throw the whole leaves in the pot, and I don't do that. I like them cut small or thin. So I group them all together like this and roll them like so. And so for these little ones that came out of the middle, you just stuff them in there. Really stuff the whole thing in there. When they get really small like this, they'll cook down to nothing. But I'll stick them in there. And if they don't make the wash, no problem. So I just roll them like so. And if you think that's tedious, just pretend this is a roll of money. That's what I used to do when I was little. I used to watch my mom do this. And then I cut them. Now it's up to you how thin you want to cut yours. I like mine thin. I had a sister-in-law that cut them super thin. They'll seem almost stringy, but the flavor is so much better to me. And when I cook, I like to think that I take a little care here and there in what I prepare. Because usually who's eating it is my family. See, so they're really thin. I'll just cut one. Even though it's an experiment, I'm going to prepare it just like I would anything else. And that way, there would be nothing different. Because if I did this, if this is a great experiment, then I'll always do it this way. But I just prepare it like I always prepare all my greens. Some people like the stems in theirs, and I don't generally do that. So, let's see what this looks like. Yeah. Cutting these small leaves ended up being really choppy, almost like slaw. So I'm going to cut those a little bigger. But these are really thin, shredded almost. I like that. Of course, this is going to cook down. So we'll see how this works. I can't wait. I'm so excited to see how this is going to work. Okay, so I had this on simmer. They're not done yet. As you can tell, if you look here, you see some of them are a brownish green color, and then some of them are more vibrant green here. I just poured in some of the liquid off of the boiling ham bone. And I'm going to bring this heat under this pot back up and let all of those cook while they tenderize. I'm also going to grab a few pieces of meat off of the ham bone itself. And if you like beans, a ham bone would be a great addition. You see those chunks of ham? We didn't eat all that ham for the holiday, so I generally leave ham on the bone so I can either make beans or soup, or of course season a pot of greens. Some people use smoked turkey. I put just a little in there because I don't do all that meat in my greens. but my family likes it, so I put chunks in there so I can spoon around it. And we'll bring that back up to a boil, and that should be done. I tasted them already, I'm going to tell you, because I'm so curious about this, and they taste really good. So I'm going to taste that little piece there. That's not done. This one looks more cooked than the other one. I mean, really, really tender. They are tender. They are so good. This is a great experiment, and I'm loving it. So let's bring that back up to boil to let them finish cooking, and then I can have at them. All right, so this took less time to cook than any other greens I've ever cooked. And these are the green tops from Brussels sprouts. And of course that's ham in there. That's what it looked like. I don't generally eat meat in mine, but the rest of the family does. So they're super tender and very flavorful. I thought this was really, I thought it was going to take a while to cook. You see how easy that fork goes right into them. They didn't even cook but about 30 minutes or so, if that long. Wow. They are delicious. When they turn that brownish green color, that's what that is, like a brownish green color. They go from that bright, vibrant green to that color. These are super. They are super tender, a ton of flavor. I don't know if that's bacon I'm tasting or ham, which is basically the same thing. A little salt and pepper is all I added to it at the very beginning, so it doesn't really need that much. These are super tender. Some people like to add a bit of sugar to it, a sweetener to cut down on the bitter taste, but I don't taste any bitterness on these at all. None whatsoever. Wow. No bitter taste, very flavorful, and very, very tender. I kid you not. And that didn't even take an hour. Wow. Thanks for joining me. Try it.